everyone, welcome back to Macy Lou Art. I'm just going to go ahead and give you all a heads up. I don't know what's going on with my throat, but my voice is terrible today. It's in and out, it's gross, but I have been waiting to record this voiceover for ages, it feels like, because at every turn something comes up and I can't sit down and record. We've had some plumbing done at the house, and that is very loud. There's drilling, there's cutting of the walls, there's just so much loud noise and vibration, so there's no way I could record the past 2 days. But I probably could have recorded yesterday, actually. What was yesterday? Thursday? But I just wasn't in the mood. So today I'm in the mood now, but this morning there was a tree being taken down and then the wood chipper was going, and that was extremely loud. So now I finally have quiet and I'm finally ready to record this voiceover, but I did want to let you know that of course my voice is now deciding to act up. So anyway, hopefully it's not too annoying, but I did just want to talk to you guys, so you can either just sit back and watch this video, or you can just have it on as a podcast if you want in the background. You don't even have to really watch it. But I do think that the visual component just adds more to it, because I am working on a commission and other projects in this video. So first, I want to discuss this art commission. Art commissions are really great for my business because they are usually something that I can charge a little bit more for. Of course, it depends on the size of the piece and the medium that I'm using. For example, a really large oil painting is going to be probably the highest dollar amount for one piece that I can charge. This is gouache though, so it's less, but it's great because it's nice to be able to create something specific for the customer every once in a while, rather than just coming up with something from scratch from my own head. Of course, this was still something that I kind of came up from scratch from my own head, except the client wanted these specific birds in the scene, and so I took that idea and I just kind of expanded upon it and decided what plants were going to go in it and things like that. So it was kind of a collaboration between me and the client. That is what you're watching me work on right now. And I started off with a sketch, and I actually sketched this directly on the watercolor paper. And I'm using, I think it's cold press watercolor paper for this gouache piece. I forget how many pounds it is. But it'll probably be on the screen at some point because I think I do show that. But anyway, I just wanted to discuss this because I really enjoyed working on this, and there were a lot of little details to put into this piece. I actually think my favorite part is the fence. The fencing, I think that just came out the best out of everything else. I don't know, that's just me though. Other people might disagree, but the fence is in my garden in real life. The cardinals, they're from a separate photo. Actually, 2 separate photos. Each cardinal's from a separate photo. And I created a collage on Photoshop that you're seeing right now. And then I took that collage and I sketched by eye, by vision. I just looked at it and sketched it onto this paper. And then, after that, I painted over it in gouache. Now, there are many different ways to create art, and this is just one way that I create art, okay? Another thing I've been doing lately is either taking my collage that I've done in Photoshop first, taking that, turning it into line art, and then transferring that to the canvas with transfer paper. Or sketching something in my sketchbook, printing a copy of that out, and then transferring that with transfer paper onto a board or a piece of paper, whatever the case may be. So those are my favorite ways to create art nowadays. I used to, for oil paintings, I used to actually sketch with oil paints, and I find that was a longer way to do things, and so I do things a little bit, in my opinion, more efficiently now. But there's nothing wrong with whatever method you want to do, because it's going to be different for everybody. So just wanted to point that out and put that out there. Some projects I have coming up. I have been working on an ongoing project series called Trash to Treasure. And what Trash to Treasure is just, I just acknowledge the fact that a lot of the things that we throw in the recycling bin don't actually get recycled. They don't actually get reused. And, they sort that at the facility, and we don't necessarily see what they're sorting, what they're actually reusing and recycling versus just actually taking to the landfill, because some of that actually does still go to the landfill. So even though it'll say on your recycle bin what you can put in it and what can be recycled, it doesn't always work out that way. So just keep that in mind. And so I created the Trash to Treasure project, and you're going to see that later on in this video. I take things that would otherwise either be recycled or thrown directly in the trash, depending on what it is. So a lot of cardboard products like cereal boxes and things, they might actually go in the recycle bin, but then things like nut canisters might actually go in the trash can because they're made of multiple materials in one. Of course, it probably depends. I mean, I could just be wrong about whether or not that can go in the recycle bin, but I'm thinking they probably can't recycle that because it's made of multiple different materials. Anyway, either way, I took those nut containers and I actually gessoed over the cardboard part of the nut container. And you'll see it later in the video. It's like a cylindrical container. And I just painted oils over that. And then once that has cured for a month, I'm going to varnish that part of it. And I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the lids yet. I might leave the lids brown. I think they're like a dark brown. And then I don't do anything with the bottom. The bottom is just like, I think like a foil, metal, what is that called? Is it tin? Or is it foil? It's either tin or foil. It's like a metallic material. I'm just going to leave that as is. I think I end up painting a little bit of paint on the bottom rim of it, just to continue the design down, if I'm not mistaken. But you'll see up close in the footage. It's pretty cool. And what that does is that takes things that could just be thrown to the landfill for all we know, and instead turns it into art. Because I don't think every single piece of art that we create needs to last 100, 200, 300 years. Might be an unpopular opinion. You can let me know in the comments down below. I still definitely value and love creating things that I know are going to last a long time. I still make pieces like that. I do both. I make pieces that are, painted on wood, on a thick solid wood, and then and then varnished. And then that varnish is supposed to protect it for a very, very long time. And it's supposed to protect it from the sun and all of that, not outside, but like the sun coming through a window, for example. You can get your pieces framed and then put behind glass that is UV glass. Just so many different things that you can do depending on what kind of medium that you've painted in or whatever, and your pieces can last a very, very long time. Now there's going to be a shelf life for everything. Everything has a time when it starts to deteriorate. That's just a fact. That's just a fact of life. And that is why you have a whole entire industry for art restoration. And so people might have a painting that's, I don't know, a couple 100 years old or something, and it's starting to crack or it's starting to deteriorate in some way, and they might be able to have an art restorationist come in and restore that piece. Maybe they take the varnish off and they tweak, they just make a little bit of tweaks, but you've got to make sure you hire the right person for that. You can't just hire just anybody from anywhere. Like, you have to vet their work, because I have seen art restorations go horribly wrong by very well-intentioned people who thought they could do a skill level that they just couldn't do. No offense to them. They thought they could restore this, maybe this highly detailed portrait, and they ended up not doing a great job. And I'm not gonna actually point names out because I feel bad for people who have tried to do that and failed, because they probably feel just bad enough as is. So I'm not gonna mention names, but that happens. So anyway, there's a whole industry for art restoration, so there's a shelf life for, as far as I know, any piece you see that's a painting. Now, sculpture could be a little different, if it's sculpted out of stone, depending on what kind of stone it's sculpted out of, it might last a very, very long time. But I think everything, for the most part, has a shelf life. So for me, I'm like, why can't we have at least some of our pieces made out of trash? Made out of junk, made out of things we would just get rid of, because the landfills, they're they're full of so much stuff already, as is. We're throwing away things just on a constant basis, and I don't want to judge anybody for that, because think about it. Your mental health, can be affected by having too much stuff lying around. And on the screen right now is one of my Trash to Treasure projects. It's one of those cashew nut containers that I've taken and I've gessoed and then I've painted over it in oil. And I just love it because, honestly, I just really like to paint on different objects, different shapes of objects. This is cylindrical and it gives me a different kind of canvas to use. It gives me a different kind of perspective on my art, and it kind of gives my art this 3D effect, even though the art is technically 2D, but it's on a 3D object. I love that. I love being able to do that. So I think it can be a good thing because you can take this trash, you can turn it into art, and at the same time you can challenge yourself with this different kind of canvas that you're painting on, right? So anyway, that is my philosophy, but again, I still have pieces that are going to last longer and aren't made out of trash. So I like to have these different avenues and these different venues for my work. So anyway, so that wraps up that part of the video. The next thing I want to talk about is revenue goals. Switching gears kind of to the business side of things, I think that whenever I set revenue goals, it helps me achieve them and surpass them, and it's really, really nice. And so if you have an art business and you're struggling to meet your goals, I say don't leave your goal in your mind. Don't leave your goal just in a notebook somewhere. Try to write your revenue goal on a dry erase board or a chalkboard or something visual that's kind of large, that kind of takes up space in your studio, or takes up space in your house, takes up space above your dining table, like wherever you have room to put this. I want it to take up space because I want you to see that every day, every other day at least, something like that, or at least a few times a week. I want you to be able to see the revenue goal somewhere so you can constantly remind yourself to sell. Because I think, maybe it's just me, but I think that sometimes when we're artists and that's our business, we're so focused on creating the work that maybe we forget to focus on the selling part. And at least for me, that is hard for me to balance. Because I've got to have time in the studio to create new products and new pieces, but I also need time in the studio or outside of the studio to sell work. There's so many avenues to sell work, but I just wanted to bring that up because I'm doing that again because it helped me succeed in the past, so I'm trying it again. And other things that are going on around here is I recently had to completely rearrange the studio, take about half of the studio and make it mostly empty because we had to have major plumbing work done. And that is what I mentioned earlier in the video, why I couldn't record a voiceover for like 2 or 3 days straight because it was just so loud. We had to have most of our plumbing switched over from copper to PEX. And it was an undertaking for these workers. I mean, they're awesome and they're really... If you have questions, they tell you, they help you understand what's going on, and they make as small of a hole in your wall as possible. Like, they try so hard not to make more holes in your drywall than they need to, so that's great. And they're actually coming back again on Monday because there is a little bit of a leak that was missed, so they're going to come back on Monday. That has been an undertaking, and I don't know what it is, but anytime I have people coming to work on my house, even though I'm not the one working on it really, I'm still tired. Like I'm tired, like, on behalf of these people. Anyway, another thing I've been up to is I've been entering shows. So I entered 2 shows, got into both of those shows. One of them is at the Emporium. You're gonna see a vlog about this, just a little bit of a vlog about this. And then I also entered into the Fountain City Art Center, which is right near my house here in Knoxville. So I am in both of those shows currently right now as I'm recording this. One of them ends at the end of this month of February, and the other one ends near the end of the month of March. So through February, you can see my art at the Emporium, and through March, you can see my art at the Fountain City Art Center here in Knoxville, Tennessee. And another thing I've been up to lately, since I've kind of had to kind of be available for the plumbers the past 2 days, I was actually on the couch a lot working on inventory. Yeah, I know, sounds just completely titillating, right? Oh my gosh, my eyes were starting to cross. But I am so behind on inventory. And what inventory is it's just what it sounds like. I take inventory of all the paintings that I currently have at the house, and then paintings I have in shows, paintings I've sold, everything that I can possibly think of, find record of, or I even look at my Instagram, take a lot of information from there, and I'm gathering all of that onto a spreadsheet. So I'll have, oh, this sold to so-and-so, and I'll even put who it sold to. I'll put how many prints I've sold. I'll put how many prints I have in my shop currently of a certain piece. And I'll also talk about like what year a piece was made. And I used to have an inventory list, and I dropped the ball on that, not gonna lie, a couple years ago. I know, it's insane. I used to keep track of it on a very regular basis, and I used to keep up with it really, really well. But it wasn't as highly detailed either. Well, my new one is extremely detailed, probably to a fault. We'll see how it goes. But I have been working on that while they were doing the plumbing, because that was kind of all I could do, because they were down here in the studio quite a bit. They took up like probably 75% of my studio with the PEX pipe, with their tools, with their vacuum cleaner, and just there was no working in the studio while they were here. So I was upstairs on the couch doing inventory, and I wanted to do my voiceover, but of course, like I said, I couldn't, so it was just too loud. And the only other thing I really have is that I've been journaling more lately, which is really, really important for my mental health and just for documenting my life, because I am way too forgetful of a person. So I have a different journal for multiple things. Like I have a journal for my like art business stuff, my art business goals, and then I have a journal for like just life in general, and then I have a journal for house renovation stuff, which isn't really a journal, it's more like a log, and I just document the different projects we've had done at our house. Like we've had to have a new roof put on recently, we've had to take a porch out recently, we've had to have this new plumbing PEX done. A few years ago we had to have our retaining wall redone, just a whole new retaining wall put in. I mean, this place, we have done so much work at this place. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you next time. Bye guys! I just added some new original paintings to the shop. Go to macylou.com to check out the new pieces. I also have prints available, as well as different categories of products. I have a $12 and under section and a $25 and under section as well, because I believe every human being deserves to have art in their home and to feel cozy and comfortable wherever they live. I also have a contact page where you can easily get in touch with me at your convenience for art commissions and business inquiries. Just put a quick subject line such as, "Hey, I'd like an art commission," and then in the message section, put in detail about what type of commission you are wanting. Also, feel free to use the contact form as a way to ask any questions you may have about the art or the shop. Thanks for all of your support, no matter what form it takes. To support the channel, like the video, comment, and subscribe. You can also support my work by buying art from me at macylou.com. Thanks for watching!